You've been lied to your entire life about how wealth works. They told you to hustle harder, grind longer, chase bigger, and you believed them. You woke up at 5 a.m., you read the books, you visualize the mansion, and yet here you are, exhausted, frustrated, and no closer to financial freedom than you were 5 years ago. The problem was never your effort, it was your energy. Because here's the dirty secret nobody in the self-help world wants to admit. Chasing repels wealth. The harder you chase money, the faster it runs from you. And today, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to show you the exact moment everything shifts, the day you stop chasing and start attracting. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the wealthiest people on earth never chase anything, and why your desperation is the single biggest thing keeping you broke. The desire for more is the root of all poverty. So sit back, take a breath, and prepare to unlearn everything you thought you knew about building wealth. The chase trap. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up before sunrise, you check your phone immediately. Emails, notifications, bills, your chest tightens before your feet even hit the floor. You tell yourself today is the day something changes. You work 12 hours, you skip lunch. You answer every call, chase every opportunity, say yes to everything. And at midnight, you collapse into bed wondering why nothing ever moves forward. Sound familiar? That's not ambition. Addiction. That's the chase trap. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill, the phenomenon where no matter how much you achieve, you always feel like you need more. Dr. Sonia Lyubomirsky's research at UC Riverside proved that humans adapt to positive changes so quickly that the satisfaction disappears almost immediately. You get the raise, and within weeks you need a bigger one. You buy the car, and within months you want the upgrade. The chase trap rewires your brain to believe that happiness and wealth are always one more achievement away. You are running toward a finish line that keeps moving. And here's what makes it truly dangerous. The more you chase, the more cortisol floods your system. Your body enters survival mode, and a brain in survival mode cannot create abundance. It can only react, but this leads us to something even more uncomfortable about what's really driving that desperation. Scarcity virus. The reason you can't stop chasing is because you were infected, not by a biological virus, but by a mental one. Before you could even form complete sentences, your brain was absorbing every conversation your parents had about money. Money doesn't grow on trees. That phrase alone installed a belief that wealth is scarce, limited, and difficult to obtain. Neuroscientist Dr. Bruce Lipton demonstrated that between birth and age 7, your brain operates primarily in theta state, the same brainwave pattern used in hypnosis. You were literally hypnotized into believing that money is hard to get. Your poverty programming started before you could fight it. And it gets worse. A study published in the journal Psychological Science found that people raised in scarcity-minded households make fundamentally different financial decisions even decades later. They hoard, they panic, they chase. Not because they're greedy, but because their subconscious genuinely believes there isn't enough. Scarcity is learned. Every time you feel that desperate urge to chase the next paycheck, the next client, the next deal, that's not your ambition talking. That's a 7-year-old child inside you who was taught the world doesn't have enough. If this belief just hit close to home, hit like and subscribe to reprogram more of your money blocks. The next one might be the one holding you back the most. And speaking of programming, what if I told you that your nervous system is literally blocking money from reaching you? Nervous system block. Your body has a built-in wealth thermostat, and right now it's set to broke. Here's what I mean. Dr. Stephen Porges developed the polyvagal theory, which reveals that your autonomic nervous system has 3 states: safe and social, fight or flight, or complete shutdown. When you're chasing money from a place of fear and desperation, your nervous system locks into fight or flight mode. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for creativity, strategic thinking, and opportunity recognition, goes offline. You literally cannot see opportunities when you're in survival mode. This is why broke people make terrible financial decisions, not because they're stupid, but because their nervous system won't let them think clearly. A stressed brain cannot build wealth, it can only survive. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas come in the shower, while walking, right before sleep? That's because in those moments, your nervous system finally drops into a parasympathetic state. Your guard comes down, your creativity activates. Calm creates wealth. The wealthy understand this intuitively. They don't make decisions from panic, they create space. They breathe, they trust. And from that calm, they attract what the desperate will never catch. But here's where everything starts to connect in a way that will change how you see reality itself. Frequency of wealth. This is where science meets something deeper. And I need you to stay with me because this will sound strange at first, but the evidence is undeniable. In 1905, Einstein proved that everything in the universe, including your body and your thoughts, is energy vibrating at specific frequencies. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Now, Dr. David Hawkins spent over 20 years mapping human emotional frequencies. He discovered that emotions like fear, guilt, and desperation vibrate at the lowest frequencies, while emotions like gratitude, acceptance, and peace vibrate at the highest. Here's where it gets fascinating. People who chase money operate at fear frequency. They vibrate at scarcity, and scarcity can only attract more scarcity. It's not mystical, it's physics. When you're desperate, your body language changes, your tone shifts, people sense it, investors sense it, clients sense it. Repulsion. Nobody wants to give money to someone who reeks of desperation. But the person who walks into a room calm, centered, and genuinely abundant in their energy. Money flows to them like water flows downhill. Your energetic frequency determines your financial reality. But knowing this isn't enough. The real question is, how do you actually stop chasing and start attracting? That brings us to the most counterintuitive principle in all of wealth building: paradox of letting go. The ancient Taoists called it Wu Wei, the art of non-doing. And before you dismiss this as lazy philosophy, consider this. Every billionaire in history has described a version of this same principle. Steve Jobs called it following your intuition. Warren Buffett calls it patience. Ray Dalio calls it radical acceptance. Release to receive. The paradox of letting go states that the tighter you grip something, the more it slips through your fingers. Think about the last time you were desperate for someone's approval. Did they give it to you? No, they pulled away. Money works exactly the same way. A Harvard Business School study found that entrepreneurs who reported lower levels of financial anxiety were 3 times more likely to secure funding than those who showed visible desperation. 3 times. The moment you stop needing it is the moment it arrives. But letting go doesn't mean giving up. This is where most people get confused. Letting go means releasing your emotional attachment to the outcome while still taking aligned action. You still work, you still create, you still show up, but you do it from a place of purpose, not panic. From creation, not desperation. And that one shift changes everything about the results you get. But what does this actually look like in practice? That's what most gurus fail to explain. Aligned action. There is a massive difference between chasing and creating. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Chasing looks like saying yes to every opportunity because you're afraid of missing out, sending 50 desperate cold emails a day, working on projects you hate because they might pay well, constantly comparing yourself to others and feeling behind. 1. Chasing comes from fear. 2. Creating comes from purpose. 3. Chasing exhausts you. 4. Creating energizes you. Creating looks completely different. It starts with one question that the wealthy ask themselves every single morning. What would I do today if money were no object? When you answer that question honestly, something remarkable happens. You stop scattering your energy across 100 mediocre efforts. You start pouring it into the one thing that aligns with your natural gifts and genuine passion. And paradoxically, that focused, passionate energy is exactly what attracts wealth. Focus, passion, wealth. Think about any massively successful person. They didn't chase success. They became so absorbed in their craft that success chased them. Picasso didn't paint to get rich. Oprah didn't start talking to become a billionaire. They followed alignment, and the money followed them. The difference between aligned action and desperate action isn't what you do. It's the energy behind why you do it. And that brings us to a practice that can literally rewire your brain overnight. Gratitude rewire. If chasing comes from scarcity, then the antidote to chasing is abundance. And the fastest way to activate abundance in your brain is through gratitude. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is some fluffy self-help nonsense, hear the science. Your brain cannot feel scarcity and gratitude at the same time. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman at Stanford demonstrated that practicing gratitude for just 5 minutes activates the medial prefrontal cortex and releases dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals that your brain is desperately chasing through achievements, purchases, and external validation. In other words, gratitude gives your brain the exact reward it's been chasing without needing to chase anything. Gratitude makes your brain feel wealthy before the money arrives. But here's the key: it can't be fake. You can't just recite a list while checking your phone. Real gratitude requires presence. Feel the warmth of the coffee in your hands. Notice the fact that your lungs work without you asking. Recognize that you're watching this video on a device that would have been considered magic 50 years ago. When you genuinely feel grateful, your nervous system shifts from fight or flight to rest and receive. And in that state, you become a magnet for the very things you used to chase. But gratitude alone isn't enough. There's one more piece that seals the entire transformation. Identity shift. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Read that again. Identity. This is the principle that separates the permanently wealthy from the temporarily rich. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, in his groundbreaking book Psycho-Cybernetics, proved that your self-image acts as a thermostat for every area of your life. If your internal identity says you're a person who struggles with money, no amount of hustle will permanently change your bank account. You'll always return to the setting on your thermostat. You will never outperform your self-image. This is why lottery winners go broke within 5 years. Their bank account changed, but their identity didn't. They still saw themselves as lucky poor people, not wealthy creators, and their reality snapped back to match their identity. Identity drives reality. So how do you shift your identity? Not through affirmations you don't believe, not through vision boards you never look at, through decisions, through behavior. You stop asking what would a broke person do and start asking what would a wealthy person decide right now. Every decision either reinforces your old identity or builds your new one. You start making choices from abundance, even small ones. You tip generously. You invest in yourself first. You walk away from opportunities that compromise your value, and slowly, decision by decision, your thermostat resets. But what does all of this look like when it clicks, when the transformation actually happens? The surrender moment. Almost every wealthy person has a version of this story. The moment they hit rock bottom, completely gave up the chase, and everything changed. It is when you have lost everything that you are free to do anything. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx and the youngest self-made female billionaire, tells this story. She had been rejected by every manufacturer. Her idea was laughed at. She had spent her last savings. And one night, she sat in her apartment and said out loud, "I'm done forcing this. If it's meant to happen, it will happen through me, not because of me." The next morning, she received the one phone call that changed her life. The universe rewards surrender, not struggle. Now, skeptics will call that coincidence. But when you hear the same pattern repeated across thousands of success stories, coincidence starts to look like a law. The breakthrough comes the moment you stop forcing and start allowing. The surrender moment isn't about quitting. It's about releasing your death grip on how things should happen and trusting the process. It's about doing the work without white-knuckling the outcome. Surrender attracts miracles, because when you stop chasing, you create space. And in that space, life rushes in with more than you could have ever planned. This brings us to the final piece, the one that ties everything together. The new code. So let me lay it all out for you. The chase trap keeps you on a treadmill. The scarcity virus makes you desperate. Your nervous system blocks what you're chasing. Your frequency determines what you attract. Letting go is the ultimate power move. Aligned action replaces frantic hustle. Gratitude rewires your brain for abundance. Identity determines your financial ceiling. And surrender creates the space for breakthrough. This isn't theory. This is the operating system that the wealthiest, most fulfilled people on earth run every single day. The day you stop chasing is the day you install a completely new code into your mind. From this moment forward, you are not a chaser, you are a creator. You don't beg the universe, you collaborate with it. You don't force doors open. You become the person that doors open for. Stop chasing, start creating. Starting tomorrow morning, I want you to try something. Before you check your phone, before the panic sets in, sit in silence for 5 minutes and ask yourself one question. What am I grateful for right now? Not what I need, not what I lack, what I already have. Do that for 21 days and watch what happens to your life. Everything I've shared with you today comes down to one truth. The universe does not respond to your words. It responds to your energy. When your energy says, "I am desperate, I need, I lack," the universe matches that frequency with more desperation, more need, more lack. But when your energy shifts to "I am enough, I trust, I create," something miraculous happens. Opportunities appear. The right people show up. Money flows with an ease that your old self would never believe. The day you stop chasing isn't the day you give up. It's the day you finally grow up. It's the day you stop being a beggar in a universe of infinite abundance and start being the powerful creator you were always meant to be. He who would be serene and pure needs but one thing: detachment. If you made it this far, comment "Stop chasing" to prove you're ready to install the new code. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more to uncover.